on your server. You can use an existing installation, but whenever I'm doing this kind of experimental stuff, I like to just create a new WordPress. So you can do that through Softaculous. Just create a new WordPress. I called mine civiCRM. It's very simple. So the first thing that we need to do is download the files that will make our civiCRM plugin. So just go ahead and do a Google search for civiCRM for WordPress. And most of the time, the first thing that you're going to get is WordPress installation guide for civiCRM 4.4. And civiCRM 4.4 for WordPress is the exact file that we want. Like, that's what we need. Don't get 4.3 or 4.1 or whatever. You're wanting WordPress or civiCRM version 4.4 for WordPress. Now, this is the installation guide for civiCRM. We highly recommend you look through this and then follow along with it as you're installing civiCRM, but I will warn you that the documentation for civiCRM is not quite as good as it is for WordPress. It's written by a different kind of user, and so it's not laid out very well in my opinion, and it has a lot of confusing things thrown in, like side by side, it's got instructions on how to do things manually through normal backend channels like cPanel. And then it's also got how to do it through the command line interface. So if you understood CLI, then for you, but I'm guessing that most people watching this video don't know how to use the terminal or how to execute Unix commands or anything. So just having this right here is really confusing. Anyway, so step one, server requirements. It's just saying make sure that you have a server. Number two, install WordPress. Already got that covered. So step three is download and unzip the civiCRM code. We're just going to download it. We're not going to unzip it. So click here, and it will take you to the download page. And scroll down to this one right here, civiCRM 4.4.4-WordPress. There's all these other installations like civiCRM for Joomla. That's another popular content management system. civiCRM for Drupal, again another content management system. But we of course are doing WordPress. So you would go ahead and click it, and then it would download. I'm not going to do that because my internet connection is very slow, and I have to do things to cut corners here. But rest assured, if you click that, it'll download, and you'll be left with something like this. So civiCRM 4.4.4. If you take a look at this, you'll notice that it's 18.1 megabytes. But if we were to unpack it, that is, uncompress the file, then let's see how big it'll be. This is taking a minute, so you can tell that it's already going to be really big. So what's the size of the full unpacked file? You can see right there, it's 75.8 megabytes. And so whenever you want to put files on your server, like through CyberDuck or whatever, then it's going to take longer the bigger it is. That's just common sense. So do we want to put the thing that's 75 megabytes, or do we want to upload the thing that is 18.1 megabytes? And I think you guys know the answer to that. So what we would want to do is upload the zip file, but the thing about CyberDuck is that unless you buy the premium version, it doesn't let you unpack or decompress files. So we need to go through a different channel, and this is as good an opportunity as any to introduce you to another function of cPanel. So go to your cPanels and go to the File Manager. Now I'm going to this works just the same as CyberDuck, it's just a different interface. This should make sense to you. Just take a look at it for a second, and you'll see that it's just like CyberDuck, it just doesn't look the same. Now I need to get to the plugins folder of my installation of WordPress that I did this on. So mine's at iconfafsa.com/civiCRM. That means that I created a new directory called civiCRM and installed WordPress into it. So there it is, civiCRM. Actually, let's refer to the official instructions here. So there we go. It says put it into your plugins directory. Plugins are in WP content, plugins. Now you'll see that it's already there, and that's because I uploaded this ahead of time, just because I go all in one take because I don't know how to edit anything, so I need to shave off time. But pretend that's not there. So we want to upload the zip file. So just hit upload, and then you would just do it that way. You would drag it on there, or you would choose file this way. I'm not going to do that right now because of course it's already up there, so that's a redundant step. So let's flash forward to you. You can pause the video now and wait for it to upload, but let's flash forward to saying that you do have the zip file right here on your server. So we want to make this zip big, so just highlight it, go over here and click extract. There's a bunch of, just tells you what it did. So we can reload it, and look, there's our civiCRM. Let's see, is this the last thing that we need to do right now? So it says create it, put it in the plugins directory. You might have to use write access. Don't worry, you won't have to do that. Create the WordPress path, WP content, plugins, files directory. This right here is telling us that we need to create in our plugins folder. You can see the path here. We went to WP content, went to plugins, and then it wants us to create this folder called files, and that's totally easy. Let's just do new folder, files. Alright, what's the next step? If using localization, we're not using localization. Enable Civi plugin and run the installer. So it's saying that we need to just go to our plugins on our site. Installed plugins. Let's activate civiCRM. So, what's the next thing we need to do? We just need to go to Settings, civiCRM Installer, because it needs to do a whole bunch of stuff. Like it needs to create database tables in order to, like you're making a database, so naturally it needs to create tables. And you're going to get this red band saying that your database settings don't appear to be correct. That's completely expected because we haven't set them. So it's asking you for the MySQL server. That's just going to stay a local host. MySQL username, MySQL password, MySQL database. Those of you that aren't in the WordPress Part 2 lab, which at least as of the time that I'm making this video is all of you, MySQL is a database language that WordPress uses, Drupal uses, Joomla uses. Lots of open source content management systems use MySQL databases. And you need to use it, you need a username, a password, and the name of the database. So where do you find these? Well, that's real simple. You just go over to go to your control panel, go to Softaculous, should be over here in all installations. You probably don't have this many, but civiCRM. You click on the little doohickey with edit details. And so this is your database information. Now since this is public, this is a public video, I need to delete this entire installation before I upload it because these are things that you absolutely do not want to fall into the wrong hands. If somebody knows your database username and your database password, then they essentially have complete access to the site. And you don't want that to happen. So keep these things secure. Don't email these around. Don't write them on a large poster and put them on your window. Just basically utilize data security. All right, so what's the first thing we need? MySQL username. That's the database username. MySQL password, database password. It's going to be that random string of characters. MySQL database, the database name. With the service that we have, it automatically makes the database username and the database name and the database username the same. Just because there's really no need for them to be different. All right, so let us recheck the requirements. And it all went green. If it's red, make sure that you copied these things correctly. So at this point, you can either check this box. The last thing to do is decide whether or not you want to load the sample data. Ask your instructor about that, because like the sample data is awesome. It's amazing, and it really, really helps you learn civiCRM. But your instructor might have you be doing a different type of activity, so I don't know whether or not to do it. I will, because I'm not in your class and I can do whatever I want. Okay, we still good? Yeah, we're good. Install civiCRM. civiCRM has been successfully installed. Hooray. Let's go back to the dashboard. So, how do you access Civi once it's installed? Then you have this sweet little thing right here. And so you now have this, you now have the portal into your constituent relations management model, or whatever it is that CRM stands for. I always forget. But yeah, so that's the end of this installation guide. If you have any questions, do direct them towards your lab leader. So thanks for watching.